How goes it, everyone? Michael Chase here from NLSC with.
Jalen Lewis, aka Jay Lewski, back at it. It's been 11 months, Mike, since I was last featured on this.
First of all, make that the last time you do that for this intro, bro. Anyway, so we've been asked to come here by our lovely social media manager, Lou Foster, and she has some questions for us. I think she called them what ifs. So she's going to ask us them, and we're going to kind of get into a little bit of back and forth banter about kind of how we see these particular topics. So whenever you're ready, Lou.
So, Bleacher Report put out an article of 30 of the biggest what ifs in NBA history. How do you guys feel about your NBA knowledge?
Pretty knowledgeable about the NBA.
I mean, as long as it's not
myself.
as long as it's not the 50s or 60s, I think we'll be good.
Okay, so the first two comparisons we're going to do took place in 2021. Let's start with what if Kevin Durant's shoe size was half a size smaller, or what if Jamal Murray never tore his ACL?
I'm gonna let you go first because first
Come
one's
on,
about
y'all
your
know
guy.
Kevin Durant fan since Texas. I think KD, if his foot was half a size smaller, they win against the Milwaukee Bucks and go on to beat the Atlanta Hawks that season in the conference finals, and go on to beat the Phoenix Suns in the NBA finals to win the Brooklyn Nets championship 2021, Michael. Kind of pretty easy, too.
You know, I really do appreciate your love for KD. I really do, because I don't see how you KD fans see this. You can't have a team of number twos and expect to win against actual alpha
Team number
males.
twos would average 32 points per game without a player, without his co-star, and his second best player was Reggie Jackson when he won MVP.
Hey man, look, we don't need to get in. We don't need to get into all that. I mean, as much as I would like to say, as the kind of resident Denver fan, that Jamal Murray tearing his ACL would have really changed things for Denver, I do begrudgingly have to agree with my guy J. Lou on this one. Is that if we're really gonna talk about it, I mean, if Kevin Durant makes that shot, you're talking about altering literally NBA history. I mean, now Giannis is not talked about in the same light. KD is going to be talked about a lot different, especially if they go on to win the championship. So, as much as I hate to say it, I think your scenario, your guy has this one there, Jalen.
All right, the next two are from 2019. What if the 76ers kept Jimmy Butler, or what if Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant didn't get hurt?
You want me to start?
You go the first this time, yeah.
Oh, you know, it's definitely, we don't rock with Philadelphia around here, so I'm absolutely going with KD and Klay, because at that point, if KD and Klay don't get hurt, Warriors are beating the Raptors. I don't care how long or good defensively that they thought they were. We ain't worried about none of that. I personally think if they don't get hurt, we're not even having the conversation about the whole narrative was, oh, Steph by himself couldn't really get it done, and all the brouhaha about that, because they would have probably beaten them, even though, to the Raptors' credit, they were beating them at the time KD did get hurt. But even still, I think the Warriors probably have 5 instead of 4 championships.
Okay. I see your thinking there, but I think everybody knows that they would have won regardless of any injuries on the Warriors. So it's just like, it's whatever. You know, it took them 6 games to beat Steph Curry, a boxing one, versus with nobody. So everybody knows what would happen. It would have been a three-peat. KD would have had 3 rings. Steph would have probably had 5 now, if you count the 2022 ring, which would tie him with Magic Johnson. So that could be an argument for GOAT point guard debate, even more putting Steph Curry on top. So I agree with that. But I think the bigger story here would be the Sixers getting a ring, because then they would match up against a Bucks team who, in regular season, they played pretty good that season. That was kind of the year people were walling up Giannis, and Toronto showed y'all how to do. I think they can do it with Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, and Embiid if the Raptors could do it with Kawhi, Ibaka, and older Marc Gasol at the time. So, yeah, I think they beat Milwaukee, and then they move on to play, obviously, an injured Warriors team. I don't know if Klay gets hurt, but I think without KD, they don't beat that Sixers team, because they still pose the threat of Joel Embiid being dominant, Jimmy Butler showing up in the fourth quarter, Ben Simmons doing his regular 16, 8, and 8, which he was averaging, before he became the Ben Simmons we know today. So I think, that would have gave them all a ring. Embiid and Jimmy Butler's careers are different. Maybe Jimmy Butler's still with the Sixers to this day if they win a ring. So yeah, I mean, that core would have probably been together. I think the bigger story here is the Sixers, Mike. I think you missed the bullet here.
I'm just gonna say, and imagining a world with Joel Embiid having a ring is crazy. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna choose to live in the real world.
What if Luka didn't fall to the third in the 2018 draft? Or what if Jason Tatum didn't fall to the Celtics in the 2017 draft?
Which one would be the bigger what if? So that means Luka would have had a chance to go to the Kings or Suns that draft.
Yeah.
I think the bigger story is Boston. I think because without Tatum, they don't have the team today. I think even if Luka was on the Kings or Suns, maybe the Suns will be a little bit better, but the Kings, I think, still be poverty because they don't know how to draft. That's why Marvin Bagley went second for a reason. So I think the Kings still would have been poverty. But if he goes 1 to Phoenix, I think would have been interesting. But yeah, Boston kind of finessed the Sixers that year to get Tatum instead of Fultz and Alonzo. Obviously, Tatum falling to them, that takes them away from having to go against Tatum with Philly, with Embiid already there and Ben. Second team was the Lakers. I mean, Tatum would have became a superstar probably on the Lakers with Ingram and the other younger players they had at the time. And he was a big Kobe fan, so he would have just been falling right into his idol's footsteps. So I think the bigger story, what if would have been if Tatum never fell to third. Like I said, he would have to play Sixers. Well, Boston would have had to play the Sixers without him and going against him, and then you had LA become under his idol.
As much as maybe logically I think that I should agree with Jalen, I think I'm going to go against the grain on this one and say the Luka pick, and I'm going to say it for this reason. I think Luka probably changes the fortunes of how the Kings go about their decision-making that they have up until that point. Because if they have Luka, De'Aaron Fox was with them already at that time, I think that's going to give them more presence to probably do what it looks like, unfortunately, they maybe should have done already, which is trade De'Aaron Fox, and maybe you keep Halliburton. If they end up still getting Halliburton and Luka together, and that could be kind of dangerous. You say that, but Halliburton I think is a good enough off the ball shooter to take. And then, although defensively there's gonna be some things to iron out. Yes, we know, but maybe Luka will be as beat up as he is kind of right now. But I think I'm gonna go against Durant because I think Luka's just proven. No disrespect, but unlike Jay, he's proven that he is truly that guy. Whereas I think Tatum, if he goes to LA and say if LeBron comes there, is he really gonna be around once Bron gets there, or is he another piece that?
He would
falls
probably be
in
another
trade?
piece for trade bait, but
So
it's still the fact that he's a better talent than Ingram and others on the team. So maybe they could have tried developing around Tatum instead of getting AD, so it could have maybe been Bron and Tatum.
Yeah, but don't you think that the Pelicans, if they come to them with that trade, it'd be Tatum and it'd be Tatum and then Josh Hart and Julius, something along those lines. So it's gonna be Bron's gonna be stuck with.
I mean, but then
probably
the Lakers.
gonna actually be
but I don't see the Lakers trading Tatum and Ingram to the Pelicans. So at least they could have had one with Bron and AD.
I don't know, man. I just call it blind faith, even though I'm not a huge Luka fan, but I got faith in Luka still making a bigger impact.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
All right, moving along. What if the Warriors traded for Kevin Love in 2014? Or what if Tim Duncan was on the floor for Miami's last possession in Game 6 in 2013?
Oh, I can start this. If Tim Duncan's on the floor, Miami doesn't have that chip. They're getting that rebound. I'm sorry. I refuse to believe if you have an actual big on the floor that Chris Bosh is getting that offensive rebound to kick it out to Ray Allen. Because as we continue to see in basketball from time and time again, I don't know why teams think in late defensive possessions, even when you're switching everything, the big has to come off the floor. You still need to secure the rebound. And Tim Duncan, one thing he was doing quite well, that's it. He was rebounding. They get that board, and now Tim Duncan, I think there's no people out here randomly disputing the fact that he's a top 10 player all time, which yes, I've heard that, Jalen. It's actually kind of nasty, but so I'm gonna go with that one. If my boy Timmy D is on the floor, it's not going like that. And Braun and them they're gonna really have to figure some stuff out, and we're gonna probably be talking about Braun a whole lot different.
I actually agree with you on this one. Tim Duncan, that would have been his 6th ring.
GOAT.
He would have been what, 6 for 6?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't know what would happen in 2014.
True.
Because they had a lot of fuel to win 2014 after losing 2013 after being up 3-2 in that finals. So, but yeah, I mean, at the time though, he still would have been, was it 5 for 5?
Yeah.
If he won that ring. I think Tim grabs the rebound as well. Probably gets fouled immediately. I think Tim can hit free throws better than Kawhi was hitting at the end. So, yeah, I agree with you on that one.
What if James Harden didn't leave the Thunder? Or what if Derrick Rose didn't tear his ACL?
My team. Oh, good old Thunder.
You want to start off? You're the resident Thunder fan.
You already know, man. Sam Presti's obviously learned from his chief self to learn how to pay his athletes. Yeah, I think we win a ring if we had Harden. I think that's the bigger story. Because Derrick Rose, the fact he had a great season, I still don't think they get over the hump of beating the Big Three Heat up until 2014 before they disband. The team was okay. Chicago was all right, but I don't think, like I said, I don't think they beat the Heat even with a healthy MVP Rose. I think if they make the East more competitive for LeBron, instead of, people now saying, like, when LeBron went 8 straight to the finals, playing against no competition, I think they make it a little bit more competitive going against the MVP Rose. But, I mean, come on. OKC, we had Russ, Durant, Ibaka, Perkins as an anchor. Shout out Kendrick Perkins.
Oh, God.
Now,
he was an anchor, all right.
James Harden off the bench. I think eventually we probably would have had to start Harden in the later years. We kept them. But I think we can work it out. If you want to be honest, I think we win the year the Warriors won their first title, the 2015 year against the Cavs. I think we beat them, especially if they're banged up. I think we win that title. Those Spurs teams in 2013-14 were probably hard to get by. So I'm not gonna say we beat the Spurs, but I think we get the 2015 title. So I think we at least get one if we sign Harden for another 4 years.
To give a shout out to one of my younger brother's favorite players, I'm rolling with D Rose on this one, and I'm doing this solely because I think, and I've always kind of ran through this scenario and all different types of friend groups, is the Eastern Conference, I think, dramatically changed. And even though I've been, and I think Jalen knows probably as I start getting ready to talk about it, where I'm going with this player, even though I'm not a huge supporter of his. If D Rose doesn't get hurt, maybe that's what really truly entices Melo to not go for the money in New York and come to Chicago. Maybe I feel like D Rose and Melo in Chicago with really good defenders around them, I think they might beat that Miami team, because now Braun can't just go up and try to take Derrick Rose and try to take him out of the game, because now you can give the ball to Melo, and now you got Melo. He can basically do what he was born to do, which is just go out there and score the basketball.
I don't know if Melo and Tom Thibodeau work, though.
Tommy T's going to have to figure it out, because Melo's coming to Chicago and things are changing.
I don't know if that offense works. Because Melo likes holding the ball, too. He's a ball stopper.
Well, I mean, we're not going to act like Derrick Rose was he was willing to pass it, but they were already kind of in an offense where he was the lone guy. So, I mean, it would kind of almost be like the Thunder back when they were as I deem them, the taking turns Thunder, whereas you take the ball one play and then, I take the ball one. I see your Harden point, though. Harden definitely, I don't know if I'll just push back, because I don't know if Westbrook's going to let that happen. I don't know if you can actually convince Russ that he's coming off of anybody's bench, especially when he's at the peak of his powers.
Yeah, not Westbrook. That's why I said Harden.
I don't know if he's going to come off the bench either. You might, I guess the backcourt. You could start them in the backcourt, but I don't know.
I still think we win 2015.
I'm just Charles, you're just a Thunder fan, so I'm gonna let you have this.
Easily think we win 2015.
Our last one, what if David Stern didn't veto the Chris Paul trade in 2011?
Oh, God.
Or what if LeBron James decided to go to the Knicks in 2010?
If LeBron decides on the Knicks, we're never going to hear the end of it from Stephen A. Smith. Actually, Stephen A. Smith might not even.
Stephen A. Smith, Spike Lee.
They're going to be insufferable, and Knicks fans are already insufferable as it is. But I will say, I'm probably going to have to go with. Lord, I already forgot the other one.
It was David Stern.
Oh, I'm going to have to. If that trade goes through, I think Kobe's probably going to get 6. Probably going to get what? Because he finished his career with 5 rings, right?
Yeah.
I think he's probably going to get one more because I think that's kind of the perfect point guard and perfect personality to work alongside Kobe because, I mean, they can both just kind of be mean to each other and then at the end of every practice, dap it up. So I'm going to go with the Chris Paul one because I do feel like a lot of Lakers fans feel, and I hate agreeing with Laker fans, they probably would have won the title that year if that trade goes through to get them Chris Paul.
I can see both sides. You know, LeBron going to New York, he probably becomes the biggest athlete in the world at the time, you know, with the New York media and all that.
He's going to
Broadway,
be the mayor.
You know, if you want to go for that. Prime LeBron. See, LeBron's on the Lakers now as a little, you know, older fella. But it would have been like the Broadway show with Bron in New York. But I just don't think they have the team surrounding Bron. I think, obviously, they probably would try to bring in another superstar to help with Bron with the Knicks. But I think I'll agree. I think the bigger what if here would be Chris Paul to the Lakers. Kobe probably doesn't tear his Achilles in 2013, 14th season. I'm pretty sure that happened. I think he does get a 6th championship ring. Not sure what year though. That's around the time the West was getting tough.
Yep.
If I had to pick, I mean, it may beat the Mavs. Even though I think the Mavs beat them in 4 or 5 that season.
Oh, they smoked them.
Yes. I mean, Chris Paul in his prime was like averaging 22 and 12 at that point. I mean, with the Hornets, so.
I mean, to the LeBron point, though, we got to think about, we are talking about Chris Paul going anywhere with expectation, which means that hammy's going to get pulled at some point. Like, let's.
Chris Paul that
just popped into my mind.
Yeah.
I think we kind of agree on that one. The only thing I would say.
I just think Kobe gets it done, though, as long as Paul's healthy, like you said.
Yeah, it's just the only thing I can get to the LeBron side, though, is that he's going to turn like New York. They already consider New York like one of the main meccas for sports, but it's really going to like New York might have to get exercise from the U.S. because they're going to be out of hand.
Yeah.
they have to get put in timeout for a little bit the way they would be acting.
Okay, so we're at the end of our list. How do we feel? Were there any what ifs that you felt particularly passionate about?
I think my favorite one was the KD with the shoe.
The one I probably am torn on the most was probably the final scenario you gave us between the Draymond swipe and LeBron's teammates being healthy, because I've certainly been a proponent that I don't think Draymond missing that one game made a difference because they still had 2 other games they could have won as well. Maybe because they threw off their flow, but it's like,
yeah.
But
other than that,
they
won the wrong ring. They both had the wrong ring.
So I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of LeBron stuff on there, and I'm just gonna personally say I don't know if LeBron needs any more what ifs, because we need some other player what ifs. So come on, there's got to be some more ones coming down the pipeline.
Are there any that you have in mind that weren't mentioned?
What if
KD went back to DC?
Oh, we don't need. We that would never
Bradley
work.
Beal 2017 champs.
Nah, that was not gonna work, Chief. I would probably say my biggest what if is that. Nope, I lost it. I got nothing.
I don't know, man. KD to the Wizards 2017. John Wall, Beal, healthy at the time.
Jalen, as I've told you before, it sounds good until you see them try to figure out how to play with each other.
I think they could. John Wall's two-way slashing playmaker, point guard. Really got a lot of offense. That season.
Lou, we got to wrap
that
this up, 'cause
season.
we're going down the nostalgia road, and I don't want to get into this conversation again.
I mean, it's better than Paul Pierce old self y'all had.
Hey, man, those were miraculous, miracle, wasting my time as a Wizards fan times.
Yeah.
And I'm appreciative of it. So we just kind of went through our own little list. So I guess our question to them, J. Lou, is what are your what ifs as far as in sports history? And it doesn't just have to be basketball, whether it's football, baseball, field hockey. I know none of y'all don't know about that field hockey. Again, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you in less than a year.
Peace.